Skip Weber at the Weber Automotive Group.
All my employees are enjoying their job. We do stuff together. We treat people like a family. And that's just not on the sales floor. When you walk into the service department, the same thing. People are happy to be there. They're happy to wait on you. That's what we want more than anything. We want that atmosphere that I've noticed a couple times in my career when that wasn't going on. And sure enough, there was a problem somewhere. Right then, we nipped a problem in the bud. And so that atmosphere is super important to me.
Our 25s are going fast. So if you're looking for that little bit higher rebate before the model year completely changes, this is the time. This is the time right now. You know, and that goes for Fords too. Ford and Chevy both. We used to have the big reveal in September and everything switched over. Now it's kind of like a rolling reveal. But this is still the time when everybody's incentives to buy are a little bit higher on the leftover models.
Granite City, Columbia, Illinois, Olive and 270 and online at WeberChevrolet.com. The Weber Automotive Group.
We're in the holiday season now, and when you start thinking about Christmas, I think two movies, Miracle on 34th Street and It's a Wonderful Life, both jump into people's minds. Can you talk to me a little bit about what you remember about doing It's a Wonderful Life?
Well, it's my favorite, and it's Frank Capra's favorite.
You've been given a great gift, George. A chance to see what the world would be like without you.
Maybe it's a sentimental reason. It's the first picture that I did after the war. And I remember my contract at MGM had run out during the war, and I was away for 4 years. And when I got back, I didn't know whether it was possible to forget how to act. I didn't know. And 1 month went by and nothing, and 2 months went by. And Hank Fonda and I, he was in sort of the same boat, and we sort of flew kites and and one day Frank Capra called me up and said, "I've got an idea for a story. Why don't you come down and I'll tell it to you." Well, it didn't take me long to get down to his house. And he said, "Well, now this is about a fella in a small town, and he isn't doing very well, and he wants to get out and travel, but he can't because of his father's business, and then he has to take over the business, and things get worse and worse, and he's going to kill himself."
Wait a minute here. Oh, this is some sort of a funny dream I'm having. So long, mister. I'm going home.
Home? What home?
Now, shut up! Cut it out! You're crazy. That's what I think. You're screwy. You're driving me crazy too. I'm seeing things here. I'm going home and see my wife and family. You understand that? And I'm going home alone.
And an angel named Clarence, who hasn't won his wings, comes down. He said, "Gee, this sounds sort of strange, doesn't it?" And I said, "Frank, if you want to do a picture about an angel named Clarence who hasn't won his wings, who comes down and says to me, 'I'm your man.'" That's the way I got started.
Okay, well, they're cutting us, Jim. Thank you very much. Continued success and good health to you.
Thank you, JT. Thank you. Enjoyed talking to you.
That's a Christmas present from a very dear friend of mine.
Look, Daddy, teacher says every time a bell rings, an angel gets his wings.
That's right. That's right. Attaboy, Clarence.
Excuse me, sir, is this the Delta House?
Sure.
Come on in.
You know, I've been thinking about this. You know what makes people violent? I don't think it's television or films. I think it's alarm clocks because it wakes you up abruptly, puts you in a bad mood. You're irritable, you're cranky. I think you should just wake up naturally with an alarm clock that has a human voice. Like, come on, buddy, time to get up, pal. You're looking good. You got the whole day ahead of you. Come on, out of bed. Come on, let's go. Up you go. Come on, buddy. Come on. Up you go now. Move it. Let's go. Move it. Move it. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Then you hit the snooze alarm. Sorry, buddy. I didn't know what I was talking about then.
Most of us on waking in the morning know exactly where we are. The rooster or the alarm clock brings us out of sleep into the familiar sights, sounds, aromas of home and the comfort of a routine day ahead. Not so with our young friends. This will be a day like none they've ever spent, and they'll spend it in the Twilight Zone.
No, I'm just getting warmed up.
Happy to see you again.
I'm going to say some bad words. You're just going to have to deal with it.
I like to talk.
I am good at dealing with people. Can't you understand that? I'll write it and we'll do it live.
You're a freak with a microphone.
I'm kind of a big deal.
Surprised you never listen, Joe. There's 2 or 3 other talk shows around, but for my money, he's the best.
However, the radio still works. Funny as that may seem.
Okay, Pugsley, I'll give you another 1,000 watts.
What's it look like?
A radio? What? But so big, green with numbers, lots of knobs.
Now, I think we're ready for rehearsal.
Are you feeling festive yet? How about maybe a little more snow and a little less cold? This cold, by the way, is going to break in a day or two, and then it's going to be possibly into the 50s by the end of the weekend. But I noticed that Dave Murray said that it will probably be relatively mild, very little chance of a white Christmas. However, how about a white week after Christmas? I know it's a long way off, but Dave said there are indications that the temperatures will drop significantly right after Christmas, and it's also the time of year where you start getting those big snowstorms coming right up I-44 aimed at St. Louis. So we live in exciting times, as I frequently point out. How you doing? It's JC, and this is the Sunday Showgram for Sunday, December 14th, 2025. Here on 101.9, 94.1, and News Talk STL on the app. This show, any part of it that you miss, will pop up on the podcast at News Talk STL tomorrow morning. Now, next week is our Christmas show, but I'm going to pump in quite a bit of stuff from the Christmas file today, and I'm going to hype the hell out of this because it deserves it. Now, there's a story that goes along with it, and this, by the way, is going to be at the beginning of next hour. Years ago, we're just sitting there doing the radio show one morning, and, we would sometimes be in the office until 2, 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Keep in mind, we'd get there 4:30 or 5 a.m. Now it's 9, 10 hours later, and you're still at the radio station because you're trying to get this guest or you're trying to book something really, really exciting. You're trying to do all this, and you give it your best shot. You do the best you can, and then you go home, and then you come in the next day, and you hope that all your work pays off. But then you're just sitting there, randomly talking about one thing or another, and, we had 5 phone lines coming in to the studio, and I don't know, you just push down the button, and there's listeners, people wanting to be on the show. And we had been talking about how there are a lot of robberies this time of year because obviously people know you got all this expensive stuff under the tree or stuffed away somewhere. So if they can get into your house when you're not there, they're going to clean you out. Supply and demand. Welcome to America. All right. So anyhow, this guy calls in, and when this happens, first thing we do is look at each other, all 4 of us, and it's like, this guy's making all this up. So you start asking more and more difficult questions. He identifies himself as a career burglar, a home invader, if you will. And the more and more we tried to poke holes in his story, the more silly we felt trying to do that because this guy was obviously telling the truth. Obviously telling the truth. Man, did I wake up that day. Did I learn a lot that day. If you listen to only one thing on the radio this holiday season, make it be next hour here where you will hear the entire conversation with the guy we dubbed Knuckles the Burglar. I am telling you, don't miss this. Now, as we always do to kick off the show every Sunday morning, it is the Weekend Pickup, a variety of really stupid stories I hope you missed so that I can attempt to impress you with these for the very first time. Let's go to press. Channel 4 has a health reporter. I don't know if she's especially identified that way, but she does do a lot of health stories. And then on their streaming channel, she's always doing yoga. And she's an okay reporter. She has always looked very sexy and has a very curvaceous body. But for whatever reason, I haven't been watching Channel 4, I don't know, for the last month or two. I don't know, I've been doing other stuff. And I just flipped it because I always have St. Louis news on all day and into the evening so that I always know what's going on back home. So I watch, everybody's newscast. So it's 2, 4, and 5 to sort of see what's going on. It's amazing how many new people are on the air in St. Louis television news to the point where I don't even know half of them anymore. I also don't feel like I'm missing much. They just keep hiring younger and younger people with squeakier and squeakier voices. The new weather guy on Channel 4 has a voice that's higher than some of the female anchors. Partly cloudy. And another guy, by the way, who can't pronounce accumulation. It's like the other guy who says accumulation. I got a job as a meteorologist when you can't even pronounce the word accumulation. But I digress. Anyhow, that health reporter who I've already identified, pretty easy on the eyes, but I haven't seen her in a couple of months. She looks to have gained about 25 pounds, just like out of nowhere. And that should be illegal, by the way, because when you look that good to begin with and you ruin it, sweetie, get yourself some Ozempic or something like that. And for people like, JC, you're body shaming. No, it's not body shaming. First of all, I don't even know what that is. Because I know this, in television news, you're on camera. And when you're on camera, you have to look good. Otherwise, you don't get to be on camera. That's what local television news has been for years now. Pretty people who can read a teleprompter. That's what it's all about. If you ugly, you don't get to be on TV. You think I ever would have gotten to be on TV and local news in St. Louis for almost 20 years? If I didn't have some associated reason for them to have me on, if I didn't have like the biggest radio show in St. Louis with just, hundreds of thousands of listeners, do you think they would have put me on TV? Hell no. I wouldn't even have put me on TV. There have been a couple of pictures that have been up on the internet of me. Most of them I took. And in some cases, I am wearing a baseball hat with the logo of a team not from St. Louis. And especially when it comes to baseball, I get a lot of heat because from time to time, I will wear a Chicago hat. Why? That's where I'm from. Number 2, as I did with a couple of Chicago teams, including the Bears and including the Cubs, for years, I sort of disavowed myself. I sort of separated myself from those franchises because I was embarrassed for them. I'm not going to go walk around with the Chicago Bears hat on when they go 2-16 or whatever it is. Is that how many games we play now? 18? I keep forgetting. 17 games. So 2-15. They told me there wasn't going to be any math. Well, my point is this. I'm not apologizing anymore. This is more than depressing or disgusting or enough to just sort of piss you off. This is inexcusable, what's happening right now. The Blues are terrible. And have you caught the Cardinals already talking about what they might do with Jordan Walker? Jordan Walker was one of the worst players in baseball. I'm not talking about my opinion. I'm talking about statistically. Bernie Miklasz was talking about it the other day. They ranked something like 273 players for their overall offense and defense, and Jordan Walker came in last. And let me tell you something else. I don't care if they go, yeah, we're going to give up on him. We're going to send him to Texas. And then he hits 350 the next season. I don't even care anymore. That ain't going to happen, by the way. But my point is taken. At the end of last season, it was a foregone conclusion that they were going to have to get rid of Jordan Walker. And now they're already talking about, well, we might do this and we might do this. No! Experiment over. So don't talk to me about my hats. Because when the Blues and the Cardinals get serious again, that's when I go back to the Blues and Cardinals hats. Because I'm telling you, if you don't pressure these franchises to do better, what incentive do they have to do better? if you don't object publicly, and especially if you're in media, or if you have a podcast or just big on social media, whatever, if you don't complain about the managerial moves of a couple of franchises that have these incredible loyal fandoms that they don't even appreciate enough to make sure you put a decent team out there, what do you think they're going to do? They're going to keep doing it because they can still make money, because you'll still buy the tickets and the gear and the hats and the shirts and the whole thing. And it's like, you don't care. It's like, well, then why should we care? You got to pressure these people. They got to feel the heat a little bit. Not that there's anything wrong with it, but these people are so friggin' loaded. And like I said, nothing wrong with that. But that would be like if, just pick a company, Heinz, okay? I just saw a ketchup commercial, okay? Over and above any other company, they sell more ketchup than anybody. Actually, it was John Kerry's wife, Teresa Heinz, who was in charge of all the ketchup. She could just come along and say, okay, well, we're going to water it down now. About a third of it is water, and you dopes are still going to buy it anyhow. We make more money because we have to put less actual ketchup in the bottle. Everybody goes away happy. Well, that's what I feel like the Cardinals especially are doing. They're watering down the ketchup. Joe Buck is going into the Hall of Fame. When he got the nomination a couple of months ago, I sent him a text and I said, congratulations, you deserve this. Hey, when you're doing your acceptance speech, mention my name. And he thought that was funny. He said, well, it's not going to happen anyhow. They always pick the old guys. It'll be years. If I ever get in, it'll be years before I ever get in. I think he was legitimately and genuinely stunned when they made the announcement that he was going in this summer. And maybe that'll shut some people up. I've never understood all this anti-Joe Buck sentiment. I don't get it. He does a fine job. He learned how to do things the right way by paying attention to his dad. I don't understand what the problem is. Somebody said, he's so arrogant. It's like, did you read his book? Not only is he not arrogant, he's so self-deprecating. If he's making a joke about something, it's usually about himself. Most people would be, really, really sensitive about the hair plug thing. And he was just like, oh, yeah, I was addicted to hair plugs there for a while. Every time I had a couple of days off, I'd go to New York and have him put a couple more in. That doesn't sound arrogant to me. Quick, and I mean really quick reviews of two movies. One is Jay Kelly. This is the thing that's on Netflix. George Clooney and Adam Sandler. Let me tell you, Adam Sandler's going to win an Oscar someday. Not going to win it for these dopey comedies that he does, but he's a decent dramatic actor, and he's really, really good in this too. Basically, I would describe Jay Kelly on Netflix with George Clooney as if the song Cats in the Cradle by Harry Chapin could be made into a movie, that's basically what it is. And it's shot in Tuscany, a lot of it is at least, and so it's pretty to look at. But there's still something wrong with it, and I think what's wrong with it is that all of the characters in the movie are sort of, I don't know what the word is, culpable. The situations they're all in, they're in because of their own doing. And so people come off as very forlorn. George Clooney's got daughters. They don't want to talk to him. They don't want anything to do with him. But Clooney has really perfected this guy, because we've seen it a couple of different times now. This guy, I'm handsome. I'm well-to-do. I got beautiful women around me. I got a great career. I got plenty of money. I'm miserable. And it's another one of those. I would not send you to the theater on a recommendation of this movie, but it's streaming on Netflix. So that way, I'd say, well, go ahead and watch it. But I wouldn't send you to I wouldn't ask you to pay $10 or $12 to see the movie. Not that there's anything wrong with it. It's just at the end, you're sort of sitting there going, And then there's Hamnet. And this thing has been the object of an amazing media blitz. Advertising. You turn on the football games the last couple of weeks, that's all you see is commercials for Hamnet. And by the way, Hamnet and Hamlet are interchangeable. So it has something to do with the historical background and the origin of the name. But anyhow, this sort of picks up where Shakespeare in Love leaves off. Shakespeare gets married, has some kids. The actress that plays his wife is going to get nominated for and will probably win the Academy Award for Best Actress. Jessie Buckley is her name, and she's going to win. However, and this is a big however, I mentioned Shakespeare in Love, which is sort of the light romantic comedy version of Shakespeare. This is at the other end of the spectrum. Let's show people living in mud and dirt and filth and feces in the 1500s and 1600s. Let's watch, agony and despair. Let's watch children dying as they frequently did back in that time period. This ain't exactly holiday fare. If this movie had been released midsummer or something like that, I think I'd feel a lot better about it. But I'm sorry, maybe that's unfair to judge it that way. All I know is I think that this is the way audiences are going to respond. Because once the word gets out that this ain't Shakespeare in Love, that this is a really, really intense, very, very difficult to watch movie at times, I'm just not sure people are going to be in for that at this time of year. The movie is beautifully made, wonderfully directed, well acted, and at the same time, I'm very, very cool on the idea of recommending it. All the kids going to be off school here over the course of the next couple of days. It's not like you can drop them off at the theater or at the mall and say, all right, go watch Hamnet. We'll come pick you up in 2.5 hours. That ain't going to happen. And it's going to get nominated for Best Picture, and there's a couple of actors, in addition to the gal who I mentioned plays Shakespeare's wife, who are going to get nominations. I'm still not sure about it, though. A new poll asked people if they're mailing Christmas cards this year. Only 27% said yes. What would you like under your tree? Both men and women? How about Viagra for ladies? We've been hearing about this Viagra for women for a long time, and it's like, wait a minute, I don't get it. Viagra for men makes perfect sense because you take the pill and up it goes. Viagra for women, they don't got anything that goes up. So I'm not really sure. Oh, and it turns out it's not even a pill, it's a cream, but it has the same active ingredient as Viagra. I don't get it. 2025, I think it was safe to say, was the year of Ozempic. So why not Ozempic for pets? A drug company is testing on cats, and it's an implant, so there's no shots required. Why are they experimenting on cats? If it's for dogs, experiment with dogs. What are you trying to tell me, that cats aren't as important as dogs? Bite me. Dick Van Dyke turning 100 over the weekend. He says, no alcohol, no cigarettes. Dick, no fun. However much longer he is able to live, can you imagine how much longer than that he would have been able to live if he didn't trip over that ottoman every week? More and more now, you go to almost any kind of store, and they're doing self-checkout, and 27% of people have admitted to stealing from self-checkout, and wealthy people with an income of $100,000 or more are more likely to do it. They, when asked about it, they're rationalizing, I think, a little bit. 17% say they feel stealing is justified because the lines are long. 14% say they're justified because they've been falsely accused of stealing in the past. So what, they're getting even? That doesn't even make sense. More and more, as I get older, I have found out that people who have a real lot of money have it because they did sort of steal it by not paying bills and stuff like that. That's a really disturbing statistic. 27% of the people, and it's mostly rich people. This is sort of sobering. Every hour of every day, 6,600 people die. Every hour of every day, 6,600 people bite the dust. 16,000 are born. So with those numbers, the world population grows by more than 10,000 every hour. Working solo and not even being in St. Louis right now, there's no office party to go to at Christmas. I'm not sure I've ever been to one that was any good. I've been to a couple that you're just like, how do I get out of here? Is anybody looking? New poll says 27% of workers would rather get a root canal than go to their holiday work party. And what sort of Christmas gift really says, I love you at the holidays? Well, Kohler debuted a $600 toilet camera in October that watches you go and then analyzes your you-know-what. Well, now experts claim there's a major security flaw. It doesn't really have end-to-end encryption data like Kohler said. So people can hack into your toilet camera. And I say, man, if that's what you're into, you go for it. 2025 also was the year of Chapel Roan. And if you don't know who Chapel Roan is, you better look it up because she's going to be a factor for a long time. And she's from Missouri. It's not even 2026 yet. And the concert companies are letting us know who's coming to town and who's touring. Toto, Christopher Cross, Romantics are touring together this coming summer. Also, there are new dates for Bob Dylan, the Goo Goo Dolls, and David Byrne. How was 2025 for you? They polled 2,000 Americans. 10% said very good. Very good. That's how 2025 was for me. 39% said it was just okay. 19% said it was bad. 10% said awful. You can see anything down here in the state of Florida. 37-year-old woman down here arrested after a cop allegedly saw her walking on a sidewalk drinking cinnamon whiskey with no pants on. And here's the problem, one little minor flaw with that idea of having a lot of people carrying guns just sort of walking around on the streets because why? Because you might need a hero. You might see a crime and you might be able to intervene and shoot a bad guy before he does more damage or shoots other people. And so you think to yourself, I'll carry my gun with me. Perfectly legal. I see a crime. I can step in. 64-year-old man in Georgia facing felony criminal charges after police say he fired 3 shots at a young shopper he suspected of shoplifting at a Lowe's. The young man had not stolen anything. He was not hit by the gunfire. I have friends who just came back from vacation from Turkey. And here's the deal. If you ever saw the movie Midnight Express, you think to yourself, I'm really glad I saw the movie because it was amazing and I never want to see it again. And oh, by the way, keep me the hell out of Turkey. But they went and I teased them about it and they're like, you have no idea how beautiful this country is. And they sent me some pictures and wow, they sure were right. It is a beautiful place. And I still am not going to go there. And to add injury to insult, there's an Airbnb in Istanbul, Turkey, with a sign taped over the bed that said, use only for sleep, no other activities. End quote. Like I said, keep me the hell out of Turkey. Jane Seymour would like us to know that she is 75 years old and still very sexually active. Thanks. All right, birthdays the last couple of days. Terry Hatcher, 61, Ann Coulter, 64. Kim Basinger, 72, and still looks great, by the way, even though she had a bad facelift. Jacob Dylan, Wallflowers, 56. Donny Osmond, 68. John Malkovich, 72. Lori Partridge, Susan Day, 73. And after the Partridge family ended, I guess she and her agent both said, you got to shake this Lori Partridge thing. You got to do a movie that's a little risque. And so she did. The movie was called First Love. It was with William Catt, the guy who played Greatest American Hero on TV. She quit the grinning and dropped the linen several times in that movie, and there was also very graphic sex talk in it. I'm thinking to myself, I have died and go to heaven. Lori Partridge is talking dirty. Mayim Bialik, 50. Jennifer Connelly, 55. Taylor Swift turned 36 yesterday. Steve Buscemi, that is the correct pronunciation, 68 yesterday. Dick Van Dyke turned 100. And a woman who I think is among the most beautiful women ever to walk the face of the earth. Gosh, she was in Californication, which is, I think, where a lot of people saw her. Natasha McElhone is 56. And like I said, just looking amazing. And this random story about Jack Nicholson in the early 1980s. A stalker showed up at his house when he was there with his girlfriend. The girlfriend was terrified and sort of went running. Jack apparently said, I tell you what, you go call the police if you want, and I will stay here and make sure that this woman doesn't damage anything or steal anything or whatever. So the girlfriend runs off to call the police, comes running back into the room, and there's Jack with the intruder giving him oral. That's officially the best Jack Nicholson story I've ever heard. All right, there it is, the weekend pickup on JC's Sunday Showgram here, 94.1, 101.9, and the News Talk STL app.
Hello, I'm Johnny Cash. You know it's not cool to kill on Christmas. But if you must, make it the guy who sings that Grandma Got Run Over by a Reindeer song. Thanks, and have a happy holiday.
Yep, we go for the real traditional Christmas here on JC's Sunday Showgram on NewsTalkSTL, 101.9, 94.1. Last two radio stations I worked at, every time I played that at Christmas time, the radio station switchboard would light up, oddly enough, like a Christmas tree. How festive an idea is that? Psycho Santa, what can I say? We've talked a lot about Christmas movies, and most of the stuff I've seen a million times, so it just doesn't pack a punch anymore. Every year you watch Home Alone. Enjoy it? Sure. Every year you watch It's a Wonderful Life. Very enjoyable. Not quite like the old days. I mean, I think it's like music. You can just reach a point where you've heard something enough times for about 10 lifetimes, you don't really want to hear it again. And I think that same thing is happening with movies. Now, luckily, I have a couple that are off the beaten path. Now, one got away from me when it was first released a couple of years back, and it's called The Christmas Chronicles. And it's made by the same people who made Home Alone. And it looks like it. It's really good. Kurt Russell plays Santa Claus. They got a couple of young kids in the starring roles for the kids. There's a couple of scenes in the movie where you will say to yourself, is that who I think it is? And of course, it is. It's exactly who you think it is. And the actor who plays the black cop in this movie is so good. I want to meet this guy someday because that's how good he was in this movie. Again, it's called The Christmas Chronicles. And then if you can find it, and most of the time you can find it on YouTube, there's a movie called 29th Street with Danny Aiello, Anthony LaPaglia, Lainey Kazan, Robert Forster, and a couple of other people. And also the guy who played Paulie Walnuts in The Sopranos. He's in this movie too, and he looks so young. And the problem is that some people will say, okay, he's raving about this thing. He says it's such a great Christmas movie. And you get a half an hour in, and people are looking at their TVs and then looking at each other going, what the hell was he talking about? He said this was a Christmas movie. All I can tell you is you just got to stay with it. Because at times it won't seem like a Christmas movie, but I swear to you it is, and you just got to stick with it. Again, 29th Street, Danny Aiello, Anthony LaPaglia, and the rest of them. Of course, everybody watches A Charlie Brown Christmas. They've been moving that around the last couple of days. It used to be on CBS. You could set your watch to it at Christmas time. And now, I don't even know where it's showing this year, but I'm old enough to remember the very first time it ran on CBS in 1965, and we all thought that it was great. That night, half of all the televisions that were on at that time were tuned into A Charlie Brown Christmas. And that was enough to, convince the people who put that show on, maybe we ought to run this every year, make it a tradition. It marked the first ever TV special based on the Peanuts comic strip. They gave them $76,000 in 6 months to do it. Coca-Cola and CBS kicked in the money. That's all they had. That's not much of a budget, folks. Even back then, that wasn't much of a budget. And the people from the network liked it, but they were like, no, this needs a laugh track. They're telling jokes and nobody's laughing. And he's like, no. We're not putting a laugh track in. Ain't happening. And he fought with the network, and the network finally backed down, and it's a good thing. Can you imagine how awful that would be with a laugh track? And if you're saying to yourself, you know what, I got a little extra free time here, and it's been driving me crazy because when Snoopy talks, it just sounds like sped up nonsense. I'm going to record it. I'm going to play it back in slow motion. I'm going to play it backwards. I'm going to figure it out because I know there's got to be something in there. There's a hidden message or something. And the hidden message is it's sped up nonsense. That's all. Don't waste your time. Charles Schultz thought jazz music was awful, but he also thought that it fit the vision for the special, so he allowed it. That Vince Guaraldi trio, I love that. I have that on at the house over Christmas all the time. And the other thing that happened, and this was something I just found out about, when we were kids, we had aluminum trees for a couple of years. Everybody loves a real Christmas tree, even a fake tree that looks real. But, decided it was the 60s, and people were like, oh, metal Christmas trees. I don't know what they were thinking. And then you had a color wheel, so it would turn your tree green and then red and then white and the whole thing. And a lot of people had them. Well, because of the way the Charlie Brown Christmas special ends, and you know what I'm talking about, everybody got rid of their aluminum Christmas trees. That was the end. The industry, the people who made the aluminum trees were like, what happened? It's like Charlie Brown happened. That's what happened. And as we get closer and closer to Christmas and people start using vacation time, personal days and stuff like that to get a little time, sometimes, if you can find a place to hide, sit down and watch a movie or go out and see a movie. A lot of people are just like, if I don't get out of this house in the next 15 minutes, I'm going to lose it. So like, let's go see Hamnet. I loved Shakespeare in Love. Yeah, well, if there's one point that I can impress upon you with regard to Hamnet, and by the way, Hamnet and Hamlet are interchangeable. It's just got something to do with the way it was translated over the years or something. And this is the story of William Shakespeare right after what happens in Shakespeare in Love. He gets married, has a couple of kids, you know the drill. Now, the woman in this movie who plays his wife, Jessie Buckley is her name, and she's going to get nominated, and she's probably going to win the Academy Award for Best Actress. The problem is this movie is really gritty, and it is depressing, and it is very, very difficult to watch. And to be honest with you, I don't think it was a good idea to release this movie at this time of year. A lot of people have had a rotten year. A lot of people aren't expecting too much more in 2026. A lot of people are broke. You want them to go out and see the movies at Christmas time. I'm not sure I can recommend this movie for Christmas time viewing. It is very, very difficult to watch. Whereas, Shakespeare in Love was cute and a light comedy. This movie is the diametric opposite of that. And it's not that the acting isn't great. It is. It's not that the script is bad. It's fantastic. It's shot very, very well. It's directed very, very well. I just don't know if people want to come out of a movie theater at Christmas time really, really depressed. Now, there's stuff at the ending of the movie that will help a little bit in that regard. I don't want to give anything away, but I don't know. It comes a little late for me. And also, there's a couple of weird choices by the director in terms of how long the camera is on a certain person in the last couple of minutes of the movie. I don't understand why they did that. So there's a lot of hype on Hamnet, and is it worth seeing? Yeah, especially if you're going to watch the Oscars and you want to know what the hell is happening when the show is on. You have seen that movie, and it's going to get tons and tons of nominations. We'll see how much it actually wins. Then you got Jay Kelly, and that is a Netflix movie with George Clooney. And I have to say something. I like George Clooney. I like all his movies. But this guy that he plays frequently, he might have played it one too many times. I'm good looking. I'm rich. I got the world by the balls. I got a beautiful wife. I got women around me. I got no complaints. I'm miserable. He's been playing those guys, and he plays them very, very well. But at the end of the 2 hours, this is going to be another movie where you're saying to yourself, these people who are all in a pickle are all there by of their own volition. The choices they made are the reasons why things are the way they are. Now, I think you remember the song Cats in the Cradle, Harry Chapin. Like if they made a movie based on that story, that's what Jay Kelly is. Instead of a son, it's daughters, but it's the same thing. What a surprise. You don't spend enough time with your kids when they're little, and you don't treat people around you as nicely as you could. You don't do either of those two things, and sometimes life doesn't turn out too well. What a surprise. A shocker. Now, this movie was playing in the theater. I'd say, even though I think Adam Sandler is going to win an Academy Award someday for his dramatic work, and that's what he does in this movie, is drama, and he's really, really good in it, by the way. He's going to win someday, but if this movie were shown in the theaters, I'm not sure I would tell you that it's worth your $10 or $12. It's on Netflix. If you've got it, that's fine. Go ahead. It's already there. You can watch it. It won't cost you any additional money. So I'll give Hamnet 4 out of 5 corks, although I wouldn't have released this movie at this time of year, even though I know they're setting it up as Oscar bait. And then Jay Kelly with George Clooney, Adam Sandler, Laura Dern. And by the way, they're all really good in it. It's just that I'm not sure that there's going to be a lot of sympathy for these characters. They made their choices. They're living with those choices. I give Jay Kelly 2.5 corks out of 5. 3 corks if you got Netflix.
From everyone at 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Merry Christmas. A couple of mileposts here. It was, let's see, what was the year? 1997. 28 years ago that the Stones played the Dome, the TWA Dome, I think it was still called at that time. And there's a story that goes with that, too. Let's see, where do I begin? When she was 18 years old, I was introduced to this young lady after one of our live broadcasts at the 4th of July down on the Arch grounds. And we used to give away a lot of free stuff, and we had it all stored in the van. So we finished the show, and then a number of people followed us because they knew we were going to the van, and that's where all the good stuff was. And this young woman said, I would like a shirt. I go, well, they ask money for these. We have a certain number that are designated for giveaways, and then the rest of them are for sale. And I swear to you, as God is my witness, and again, this was in a parking lot sort of around the corner from a building. She took off her shirt that she was wearing. There was nothing underneath. And she stood there and said, now can I have the shirt? And I gave her one. That woman eventually went on to become a producer at KTRS Radio. And then as she got a little older, let's see, she got married. She had a couple of kids. Where'd she end up? Well, we're in a small town in Illinois. But she had married one of the guys who owned a bunch of the strip clubs over in Metro East. I didn't know too much about it. And frankly, I didn't want to know, okay? I like to stay out of situations like that. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not, she's just a nice girl. She just was uninhibited. Let's put it that way. So on that night, the 12th of December, 1997, I was there to do a pre-show for like an hour before the show began. And then I hung around for I watched about 2 hours of the show. And I was like, my alarm goes off at 4:15. I know it's the Rolling Stones and everything, but I got to get some rest because I got to be up in a few hours. And so I got to go. And I know a lot of people didn't understand that. They're like, what? You're going to leave a Rolling Stone? It's like, you don't understand. If I'm not awake, if I'm not refreshed, I will do a lousy radio show. And I don't like to do lousy radio shows. And I don't like to give ammunition to my competitors. So I'm going to get at least a couple hours sleep. And so you enjoy the show. I'm going home. And I get home and it's the pay-per-view thing. I think they charged, I want to say it was either $30 or $60 for the Rolling Stones concert. And there you are sitting in your living room watching it live, and it's going on at the TWA Dome. And so I'm watching it, and all of a sudden they do Honky Tonk Woman. And clearly something has been choreographed because you can sort of see the movement. And all of a sudden Mick is way over stage left. I'm like, what the hell is going on? What is he doing? And they have a camera positioned in the front row, not even the front row. It's really the orchestra pit. And there were 3 young ladies who disrobed. And you guessed it, one of them was that girl. And I'm like, I know that girl. And she's being broadcast by satellite all over the world. Like I said, uninhibited. On this date, 25 years ago, we ended up with 7.6 inches of snow on the ground in St. Louis. I still remember because I was invited. It was a black tie thing, a Christmas party at the Ritz-Carlton. I was dating a lawyer at the time, and she represented some of the firms or something. I don't know what the deal was. And I got invited to the show, and I still remember Earth, Wind, and Fire was the entertainment. There must have been 800 people at this thing. And, normally you see Earth, Wind, and Fire as part of a concert with, 10, 15, 20,000 people. And they're just playing the ballroom at the Ritz. That was cool. I ruined the rented shoes in the snow, but I still had a good time. Tomorrow is the 35th anniversary of the last Food and Cash Salvation Dash that I did with the brain-damaged media dorks, comedian Rich Hall from Not Necessarily the News and HBO, and he was a Letterman writer, and he was really funny that night. We made it snow in Chesterfield Mall. And we had everybody from Jerry Berger, Deanne Lane, Mike Bush, Ray Hartman, the brain-damaged media ducks. We had all of these people from media, and they were all up on stage just having a great time. And, man, did we raise the money.
And it's time for a new tote. Hit it. Hour number 18 of the Food and Cash Salvation Bash at Chesterfield Mall. 10,743 pounds of food, $42,494. Thank you very much. And I didn't know he was multi-talented. I thought it was just the accordion, but it's also the trombone, Mr. Bob Richards. JC,
You know, it's a pleasure. This is my third year here, and it's always a pleasure to be here and to see you and to see what you're doing for the Salvation Army. But to come here tonight on a night when the wind chill is about 40 below and to look out upon the masses and see a computerized banner that says Bob Richards Accordion Fan Club, I am truly touched tonight. I'm moved.
You know them as the News Brothers, but only half the team is out here now. Please welcome to the band on tambourine and anything else you could find, Mr. Mike Bush.
There's an entire industry, several industries, the locks, the home security industry, all this kind of stuff.
Multi-million-dollar
industry, giving us, apparently, a false sense of security and selling us all this stuff that apparently doesn't work.
So if you can't get in a door, what do? You go through the window?
Well, windows is kind of amateurish. I mean, kids do windows.
He says, I am Spider-Man.
A good professional thief is not going to play with a window.
Not gonna play with a window.
Are there any homes in a particular structure of the subdivision that you would stay away from, like maybe those in a cul-de-sac or something like that?
Cul-de-sacs are bad, and brick houses, for some, you can't force the door in a brick house hardly.
It's the first bit of good news I got. I got a brick house.
Because the way the doors are molded, like on a frame house, you can hit them real good at your shoulder and break it right open.
See, here's another reason to get to know your neighbors.
A lot of the neighborhoods that were built around O'Fallon, Illinois, in that area, I would get in them with a razor knife.
What if I just did this? What if I just took a bucket of shell casings and threw it out on my front lawn? It just made it look like, for some reason, or if like if you looked through the window
I
of a
think shell casings, I'd want your guns. Guns are easy to sell.
Just bring them in like a magnet, JC.
Wow.
So you're telling me, you're honest to God telling me, there's nothing I can do that will, the best I can do is maybe slow you down.
That's about the best you can do is slow me down.
Or just be home.
Or be home.
Or no, your neighbors who are home. I mean, it sounds
if you got
to me.
neighbors that are home, retired people are a pain.
My dad is a perfect deterrent to crime, a nosy retired man.
Except about 3 o'clock. Except about 3 o'clock when you get that senior citizen discount at Old Country Buffet.
So if you got an old person living in your home, you think you should get a deduction from your insurance company?
They're better than the pit bulls.
They're a real pain. We did a house. We had all these people's paintings and everything loaded in the back of the van, and this old guy was standing there talking, and we couldn't get away from him. He talked to us for 45 minutes, and we had over $100,000 worth of merchandise in the van.
Wow.
Oh, my God.
But you know what was the amazing part about it? When it come out that the place was robbed, he never mentioned us.
All right, now,
don't you feel bad, like looking back, and I don't want to sound like your mom, but don't you like ever stop and wonder, well, that's a shame that I took that really nice such and such from that person? Like, don't you ever
people
feel
that we hit could afford it. They had insurance.
Well, what if they couldn't afford it though? What if you went to a home and it was middle class and they didn't have a lot of money? They're just kind of, doing their thing, living.
Well, you don't want. Why would you rob a place like that?
Well, that's what you said.
Nothing there worth taking. Well,
love this
middle
guy.
class. We're talking, anywhere from $50,000 to $80,000.
I mean, have you ever looked back on something and said, "I wish I didn't do that"?
Well, that's one of the reasons I quit doing it. It got where it's hard to sleep at night.
And how do you sleep now?
I sleep like a baby now because I'm a legitimate thief.
Because you're earning your keep.
Let me go back to one thing. You got $100,000 worth of stolen stuff in the van you're trying to get away. Has it ever happened where you're like loaded up or in the process of doing a job and the people come home?
Oh, yeah.
And what do you do then?
You take off like a bat out of hell.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then you don't go back to that neighborhood for 7-8 months a year. So
7-8 months.
So what the things that we have done, some of the things we mentioned here today, will deter the amateur, the idiot who's just walking down the street.
That's the one you're wanting to stop anyway because they do 90% of the burglaries.
Really?
You can't be everywhere.
90% of the burglaries are done by your neighbor's kid.
Well, we're out of time. I'm glad that you called. This is better than any guest we've ever booked ever in the history of the show.
Yeah.
I don't care what you do, guy. I just was sitting here going on the way to work and heard you talking all this stuff.
On your way to work. Right now, there's a guy on his way to work, too, which is your house today.
How old are you now?
I'm in my 50s.
Okay.
Well, thanks for all the info.
Like JC just said.
Yeah, how do you keep somebody out of your house?
You go to work today and you come home at 5 o'clock and your place is wiped out.
I keep good insurance.
That's the best you can do is just get insurance.
The best you can do is keep good insurance.
Wow.
And,
Did you know who did it, though? That was Johnny.
But I was real careful about my house is open. You can see into it. There's no bushes up around the windows or doors.
Oh, so you mentioned that earlier. You didn't like houses that you could see into, and why? Just why was that?
Well, because of, again, the nosy neighbors.
Oh, okay. So you see somebody moving around in your house.
They see the plumber taking the TV and they know there's nobody supposed to be there.
I see the plumber taking the TV.
How about daylight versus night? You would not try any of this at night at all?
Oh, no, don't do nighttime burglaries because that's like get you killed.
Because people are home.
People are home.
Jumping, they hear noises and stuff like that.
Yeah, you got Joe the neighbor wanting to be a hero. And, nighttime burglaries just aren't cool because, well, the time that you'll get over it is so much heavier.
Have you ever been shot at?
My fence did once.
Your what?
Your fence, his fence. Guy you'd sell the stuff to. Yeah, who would you sell it?
He thought I ripped him off on some stones. But
fence?
So your fence tried to shoot you.
Oh, man.
Well, we kissed and made up because I made him a lot of money and he gave me a lot of money.
Unbelievable. Wow. All right, we're going to refer to you as Knuckles.
Okay.
So if we're ever on the air and you hear, hey, you know what? That's a good question. Or if Knuckles is out there, we'll put out the call. Then
call in, Knuckles.
We're talking to you.
All right.
All right?
All right.
Thanks, Knuckles.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Wow. I'm never leaving.
And that reaction from Jen Sparks right at the end there, that really summed it up for everybody. We all were just looking at each other like, what just happened? We got a call from the Creve Court Police Department, too. They wanted the tape. And, I was like, that's not my business. That's the radio station's call. You take it up with them. And I never found out whether they did anything. But it sure doesn't leave you with much hope, does it? Walk into your living room right now and just look at all those presents under the tree. And you're like, I'm going to put them in the car. I got a better chance of driving around with them and not having them stolen. How about that?
Merry Christmas.
If it doesn't snow on Christmas, how's Fat Ass gonna use that sleigh?
From all your friends at 1019 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Terrific, kids, terrific. You're just great. All right. Which one of you little stole all the candy canes?
Now let's begin our Christmas party with a song which seems to be everybody's favorite.
No, I wrote a great cookbook, great desserts, because everyone buys their desserts. Yes. Everyone goes to a bakery. Go home, do a dessert.
Okay.
I cut the fat.
Not now.
Not now. You have a show to do. I cut the sugar. I cut the fat. I made it delicious. I want people to get motivated because, you can gain 8 to 10 pounds by January 1st.
People do this at the holidays, and this is a terrible
time. They eat, and then December 31st, they're holding the last rum ball. The last rum ball in their hand, and they go, dear God, why did I do it again this year?
That was 83 Coppola, wasn't it? The last rum ball?
Fabulous movie. I love that movie.
Fabulous
movie. The ending with the helicopters, I didn't like that. That scared me a little too much.
And if you're celebrating somebody home like Kenny Loggins right there, I hope that person is driving. Man, you couldn't pay me enough to fly over this Christmas holiday. For one thing, it's crazy enough, but then you hear all these stories that happened the last couple of holidays where people are stuck in the airport for 2, 3, 4 days because they start canceling flights and there's problems with the air traffic controllers. There's not enough of them. Then you throw in some bad weather, and it's too early to know whether that's going to be a factor. I remember, I want to say it was 1990, and I was living in Ladue, and my sister was living in Dallas, my sister and brother-in-law. So we got some plane tickets, and we were going to fly out of Lampert and go spend Christmas in Dallas. I was hoping to run into Brooke Dubman's father. Dad's away in Dallas. Anyhow, it started snowing. And it was like one of the snowiest Christmases we ever had in St. Louis. I'd have to look up the stats on it, but we got a lot. I want to say it was something like 11 inches. And it might have been one of those years where by the time Christmas happened, maybe it had all melted or something like that. I don't know. But because we were going like the week ahead, going to spend the whole Christmas week in Texas. So like I said, if you're celebrating somebody home, hopefully they make it that far. I remember talking to Kathleen Madigan, who, by the way, has a great special that just started running the last couple of days. I think it's on Netflix. I haven't had a chance to watch it yet, but I saw the promo reel, and she's just so good. There's a couple of people working right now who are just ripping it up. The Pretty Reckless was on Jimmy Fallon the other night. The lead singer in that band is all grown up now in her early 30s, Taylor Momsen. And if that name sounds familiar, little girl grew up in U City, went to my daughter's school, and she used to play in our basement after school sometimes. She got the role as Cindy Lou Who in the Grinch movie with Jim Carrey. A couple of years later, the family moved to Washington, D.C., and I lost track of them, but we were friends. You know, all the families, we were all friends there at the school. And then Taylor went through a very, very bizarre period where she was doing like grunge and punk rock and everything like that. And now this band, the Pretty Reckless, they're actually pretty good. And she is, as I said, the lead singer. So she was on the other night. Now, tomorrow night on the Tonight Show, you know what? She wasn't on Fallon. She was on a different show, which I got my shows mixed up. Anyhow, she was on national TV on one of the late night shows. I don't know. But tomorrow night, our pal Greg Warren, who has been on the show a couple of times, he will be on the Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon. And that doesn't even take into account Nikki Glaser, who's like the hottest thing in show business right now. All these people come out of St. Louis. Throw in Joe Buck, who's going into the Baseball Hall of Fame this summer. That's some pretty cool stuff, all at the same time for St. Louis. All right, Skip Weber and Weber Chevrolet. I was a big fan of Dan Fogelberg. And the reason we're talking about him is because it is the anniversary coming up on Tuesday of his passing back in 2007. The pride of Peoria, as we used to say. And I thought that the Souvenirs album was a masterpiece. I often told people that if you don't have a copy of Souvenirs in your music collection, you have a gaping hole in it and you just don't realize it yet. Now, does he belong in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame because he's not there? And for a while, I was like, absolutely. Then I went through a period of, well, I don't know, I'm not sure. But now you see some of the people that they are putting in, and it's like, well, if you're going to put them in, you're going to put Dan Fogelberg in. Tell me where you stand.
So to me, Hall of Fames, every one of them has two different lives. You have their infancy, and they all get to a point where they become a self-defining institution. We are definitely there now for the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And so if you look at the people that are in there now, Dan Fogelberg absolutely belongs. He compared to many of the people there, he belongs in. Does he compare to Yes or The Who or the Rolling Stones? No. But compared to 75% of the people they've inducted in the last 5 or 6 years, absolutely he belongs in.
He recorded a concert special at the Fox Theater back in, I want to say it was the very late 80s, maybe early 90s. And, you know, the fact that he's right up the street in Peoria where he sort of got his chops. I mean, he was the opening act for the Eagles, for God's sakes, back in the 70s. He did a lot of collaborations with a lot of really great musicians. And again, you go back to that Souvenirs album, and if that's all he ever did, I think maybe you put him in for that.
I think that is a great album. I also really, really like Twin Sons of Different Mothers.
Oh, yeah, with Tim Weisberg.
With Tim Weisberg. I think that's one of his better stuff. I think he belongs. I mean, I don't know what else to tell you.
We're coming up, obviously, to the Same Old Lang Syne thing that it is, which is, you know, I mean, that's one of those things that even TV stations you find play that on New Year's Eve or New Year's Day, whatever the case may be.
That's the thing, JC. Some of the stuff, I like that I like that song a lot, Old Lang Syne. But people see him as only a very syrupy, easy listening type guy because of a handful of songs. And those songs are good. Longer Than, Run for the Roses, Leader of the Band, Auld Lang Syne. They're good songs. They're very good songs. That's not who he really was.
No.
That's not what puts him into the Hall of Fame.
Same thing happened to Foreigner. After being a rock band, they did 3 straight ballads. And, you know, even some of the guys in the band were like, hey, wait a minute here. Wait a minute. You can almost feel our rock and roll fans leaving us right now because we're just getting too soft.
Yes, that's like REO Speedwagon doing High Infidelity. That was a good album, but it wasn't like all their others. And so many people left, but it sold so many albums that they were forced to continue along that line.
Yeah, a lot of people don't understand the pressure from a record company, especially back in those days. It's not so much now, but back in the 60s, 70s, and 80s, the record companies really directed the path for a lot of bands that probably wouldn't have gone there on their own. And it's got to be sort of seductive when, you put out one of these soft songs and it skyrockets and you're making all this money and everybody's like, oh my God, these are great. Make another one. And the next thing you know, you've lost your identity. But yeah, I think that it's just one of those things. There's a couple of very egregious people missing in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. But then again, in St. Louis, I tell this to sports guys even, and they don't even realize it. They're like, are you sure that Dan Kelly does not have a star in the St. Louis Walk of Fame in U City? Alfred Hitchcock never won an Oscar either. So there's just all of these weird little quirks in the awards systems, and now it's almost like there's more attention on who's going to host the damn show than there is on who's going to win for, Best Picture, Best Comedy Series, whatever the case may be.
Right.
All right, well, let's get into your Christmas hours here first, your holiday hours for people who are like, okay, because, you talked about it a couple of weeks ago, that one of your biggest weeks of the year, maybe the biggest week of the year, is that week between Christmas and New Year's.
Well, that's exactly right. So we have always, for 30 plus years, given our employees Christmas Eve the day off. So Christmas week, Monday and Tuesday, 22nd, 23rd, and then the 26th. And the 26th and 27th, Friday and Saturday, will kick off the big sales. It might be a little bit weird this year because you got Friday, Saturday, and then Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. It's not a full week, but that will be great sales, great discounts, great bids on the trades, all kinds of nutty things going on. It always is, not just the end of the month, it's end of the year. A lot of people are buying stuff that they can write off for taxes, got it done by the end of the year. There'll be people that are saying, hey, I'm from Missouri, I don't want to pay personal property tax, so can we buy it on January 2nd? And the answer is exactly yes, because that is our December still, because the month ends, on a holiday. So we'll have New Year's Eve, off New Year's Day, open January 2nd with all the December pricing still. It's a fantastic week. It's very, very whirlwind. It's a great time to shop. A little bit easier than the nuttiness that it used to be because you can do so much online, but it will be a big, big time for sales.
Man, I guess. That's amazing that you can buy something in calendar year 2026 and have it actually count for 2025. So people need to know about that. We will spread the word. 3 locations of Weber Automotive Group. You've got Granite City, Columbia, Illinois, Olive and 270. Online, WeberChevrolet.com. Ford dealership in Metro East, and all for the taking. All right, Christmas show is next weekend. We'll talk to you then. Skip, happy holidays.
You too. Thanks.
Before we do anything, let's give people a little taste of the new Christmas album. I'm sure a lot of people have not heard this, so let's just give them a little taste of Harry Connick's new Christmas album.
Harry for the holidays.
Harry for the holidays. Here.
You hear what I hear? A song echoes through the tree.
Wait a minute.
That's not the one that I bought. I'm sorry.
This isn't going to fly, Harry. Harry, I'm not really sure that this is...
The first one's much better than this.
Who the hell produced this?
Maybe just a bad cut. You want to try another one?
Yeah, I don't know. Wait,
He had a frog in his throat.
No, we're giving Harry a little hard time here. Harry. I'm glad he's laughing. No, here we go. Here's a little bit of Harry.
That is hilarious. I'll be home.
There you go.
For Christmas.
Oh, see, now you go.
Much
Now
better.
throw a log in the fireplace. Here we go. Get out of here.
You can plan.
Probably just makes you sick when people sing along with your records.
Yeah,
huh?
please don't sing with him.
Well, just you specifically, but other people.
Hey. All right, so how long has this thing been out, Harry, for the holidays, and how's it doing?
It's doing great. I just found out yesterday that it went gold. It's been out for like a month, and
Wow.
man, I'm very, very lucky. I've been recording for a while, since I was probably 19, and to have this kind of success, after all of these records is, I certainly don't take it for granted. I feel real lucky. When I did my first record, it was basically solo jazz piano. I was signed to Columbia Records as a jazz pianist, and I didn't really start singing until, I had been singing, but I didn't record the singing until my second record, and things just kind of developed from there, and, I kind of made some decisions and hired a big band after a while and kind of put it together after that, but it started a lot smaller with just me playing and singing at the piano. I like this kind of music a lot. I like rock and roll too, and I played a lot of rock and roll over the years, but, being a jazz musician, this is the repertoire that you play. I mean, these are the songs that you grow up playing. And I like it. I like these songs, and, that's kind of why I stuck to it, but I'm a big fan of other kinds of music as well.
Talking live with Harry Connick Jr., I think that pretty much everybody became familiar with you and acquainted with you for the first time when you did the movie soundtrack for When Harry Met Sally. How did that end up coming to be?
Well, at the time, I was about 21 years old, and I had recorded 2 records, and somebody gave one of the records to Rob Reiner, who directed When Harry Met Sally, and he thought that my music would be good on the actual soundtrack for the movie. During the movie, you could hear my music playing in the background.
It had to be you and all that stuff in the background, yeah.
Yeah, and listen, number one, if you could not sing ever again when I'm talking. Okay, wow. I thought we established that.
Wow. I really like him.
Wow, the girls are in love with you now.
Yeah, Harry, you have to be on every week.
We're bigger fans now, even more so.
That's just bad. I'm going to have to send out, in my rider,
put it in the contract,
no red M&Ms and no singing in my presence.
No red leather outfits either.
No singing by JC during the interview.
No red leather outfits.
Right.
That's right.
Vinyl.
Well, no, what happened? He heard the music and said it would be cool, and then I ended up doing the songs on the soundtrack album. So it was a big lucky break for me.
Harry, with all the success that you had at such an early age, I mean, you're talking about 19, 21, that kind of stuff. Do you feel like you missed anything? I mean, do you feel like you missed just like, being in a fraternity and having college buddies and going out drinking and throwing a football around and doing all that kind of, because it doesn't seem like there was much of that, not room available for you to do that kind of stuff.
Well, there wasn't, and I didn't, I was never in a fraternity, and I never really did all of that stuff. And sometimes I hear stories of people, and they talk about, their frat buddies and all the drinking stories and stuff. And I guess a piece of me is envious of that, only because I didn't do it. But I don't feel like I needed that at that time in my life. And that's, the work that I put in kind of got me where I am now. And, I feel like my life is complete, but you always are interested in things that you don't know about, and I don't really know that type of life. The only way I know it is because I go and play at a lot of colleges, and I see a lot of these people, and they're having a good time at partying and stuff, and I feel like I'm a part of it in a sense. But I guess a piece of me wishes I had gone through that, but not too much.
At fraternity parties, they sing along with the music that's being played at the party too. No,
they sound like that first song.
Yeah, but they're drunk.
They have an excuse. Right. Jill Goodacre, your lovely bride, and you got kids and the whole thing now. Who fired on who?
You mean who picked up on whom?
Yes, exactly.
Is that what you mean?
Yeah.
I introduced myself to her. In a million years, I don't think she would have walked up to me. When I met her, I was like really skinny and just kind of a geek. I was only 22 when I met her.
Wow.
And I just walked up to her and asked her if she wanted to have lunch with me, and she said she did, and that was it, man. I was hooked from the first minute.
I'm sure you sing to your kids. Does she like you to sing
no,
to her?
Indeed. She's so over me, you wouldn't even believe it. She doesn't fall for that crap. She did for like a week.
It's take out the garbage
shut
already.
Up already. We laugh about it, but it's so like that. It's just, she just couldn't. Seriously, she. Sometimes I'll try to get romantic and stuff and sing a little bit, and she'll listen to it. But I know it's like I can see the thought bubble saying, "Well, this idiot, shut up." It's just,
and by the way, in addition
what
to
a loser,
in addition to Harry for the holidays, the Christmas album, mark your calendars. You've got Harry's next release, Only You. That's standards from the 50s and 60s. That's coming out in February, right?
Yeah, I'm excited about that. I mean, this was a suggestion that my record company president made to me, and it's the first time I've ever actually, well, how do I put this? First time I've actually listened to a suggestion that my record company had for me. And I'm so glad I did, because, I mean, these are songs I never would have thought to do. Only You, I Only Have Eyes for You, The Very Thought of You. So I'm real excited about it.
Fabulous. All right, we got to let you go, Harry, for the holidays, and you've got all these Christmas specials and
Yeah, it's a
treats.
day show tomorrow, The View Thursday, lots of stuff.
Man, all kinds
The
of stuff
lighting of
going on.
the Christmas tree in Rockefeller Center, isn't that tomorrow night, I think?
Yeah, tomorrow night. So there'll be a lot of stuff going on. So I'm thrilled I can, share this music with people.
Harry, for the holidays, have a great Christmas. Harry Connick Jr., thanks, buddy.
Hey, thanks, and look, no more singing. Yeah, baby, it's a deal.
Hi, it's JC. As I explained at the top of the show, when something like this happens, you're in the car driving home and you're like, out of all of the years that I've been in broadcasting, and just even if you just say the ones in St. Louis, there's 4 or 5 or 6 things that happen on the show in all of that time that really, really stick out. This is one of them. Let me just set it up for you again for people who were not here last hour and I told the story. I'll give you a quick synopsis. This was not a guest booked on the show. We were just talking about break-ins during the holidays. It just was a course of conversation because you got all that expensive stuff, all those gifts, all those electronics things and all that. And people break into your house, rob you blind, and it just ruins your holiday. What are you supposed to do? Well, we would just answer the phones. It looked like people were responding to whatever it is we were saying. So I would just push the phone line down. As I already established, we were the only radio station in America that did not screen calls. You didn't get to somebody, hi, what do you want to say? None of that stuff. Push the button down and you were on the air. That was it. And as this call went on, you'll hear us do it. We kept trying to poke holes in the guy's story. We kept trying to figure this guy's making this up. And every time we threw something at him, and again, you'll hear it, he had an answer. And it became very, very apparent that the guy was not making up the story. And the story is this, that he was a burglar for like 3 decades. And he finally threw in the towel. He finally quit. He went straight. And for whatever reason, that morning, he decided to call us.
Hey, I used to be a professional burglar and have done over probably 3,000 burglaries over my career.
I knew that we would get this call. I knew we would get this call. What made you stop?
I started working for security companies as a consultant.
Had you been arrested, busted? Had you done time?
No, I've never been arrested. I never went to jail. I never got touched.
So how did this outfit know about you? Like, did you volunteer the information?
My fence turned me on to these to the insurance adjusters, and we were selling stuff back to the insurance companies.
All right, this is getting way too... All right, go back to what you were going to say now.
But anyway, when we would go in a house with a dog, we'd take a hamburger and throw a couple sleeping pills in it. And then if the dog was a valuable dog, we'd take it too, because there was a market that would buy the dog.
Take the dog. Wow.
So, the dogs was cool. They was part of the merchandise. We would drive a van that would have like a plumbing company sign on the side or electrical company. We had all these metallical signs made up. And we just change it every few days, or sometimes every 2 or 3 times a day we would become a different company. We'd walk up to the door wearing our work belt boots and dressed in work uniforms and have a work belt around us. And
so how many jobs?
A little over 3,000.
3,000. Wow. All right, now let's ask the $64,000 question. Does anything work? Does anything deter you from going in? Is there anything that you would say, all right, we're not going to that place because they have what?
We stayed away from houses that you could see into, and we stayed away from houses that had housewives on the street because they would get nosy. We were actually doing a burglary one day, and a lady come up and wanted the phone number off our truck because she had electrical work she wanted done.
Wow. And you're doing a tap
we
dance.
We were in her house. We were taking her neighbor's stuff.
How did you know that somebody wasn't home, or did that not matter?
Well, you knock on the door, and if they were home, then you would act stupid and say, oh, I'm sorry, this must be the wrong place. Or did you call the plumber this morning? There was a couple times I had to go in and actually fix the sink. You know?
Are there certain sorts of neighborhoods that you would stay out of?
Well, you stay out of the really ritzy neighborhoods because
Why?
they got better police control.
Okay.
And you stay out of the really poor neighborhoods because they got guns.
What about subdivisions where there's like really only like maybe one way in or out? Did that deter you?
No, that didn't make a whole lot of difference because, like I said, we went in our work trucks and we were in and out 30, 45 minutes. And we'd be out of the neighborhood and back on the expressway.
All right, now what about alarms? What about alarm systems?
Alarms are easy. Everybody's got these signs that says alarm. Cut the phone line.
Yeah, now some of the alarm systems are set to go off if the phone line's cut.
Yeah, but you cut the phone line, then you drive around the block. You come back, if the police are there, you go on down the road.
Wow.
So basically, we are defenseless against you guys. There's really nothing we can do to stop you if you want to get in.
If we want in, we got you. I actually make more money as a consultant than installing burglar systems.
Wait, so you're installing systems that you know really aren't any good?
Well, yeah, but, you know,
gotta have
a lot of people do things that they know aren't no good.
Oh, my God.
When you went into a house, where'd you go first?
You always went to the master bedroom.
Because that's where they keep the jewelry.
That's where the jewelry's at. Jewelry's the easiest to make money on because you always bust it out of the settings and sell the stones.
Right. All right, what else did you go for?
Electronics back in the day, you stayed away from computers because it was too easy to find the computer because you would sell it to a pawn shop or something of that nature, and they'd sell it to somebody, and they'd go home, and all these people's information would pop up on the computer.
So is there anything that you can tell us that could help? I mean, here we are, it's like I'm not home right now. I'm here.
The best thing I would say, marking your possessions is probably the most deterrent.
So that's
because when you grab a stereo system and you flip it over and there's somebody's phone number or their
carving tools, like one of those Dremel.
One of them little Dremel tools.
Yeah.
I mean, those are, if you mark your stuff, that's one of the biggest ways because,
it's marked now and they can trace it back.
It's kind of hard to sell.
Yeah.
And the police got really good about running the pawn shops.
Huh.
How about if I just have a house full of cheap crap?
Oh, if it's cheap stuff, I'm going to look at it and you may not even know I was ever in your house.
Have you ever walked in when somebody was sitting there and they confronted you?
Oh, yeah.
What do you do?
Well, you just look down at your clipboard and say, I'm here to check your furnace. Or
You would just walk into their house and then they would say, what the hell are you doing? And you just say, oh, I'm here to check your furnace.
Yeah,
and they would accept that
you just said the door was unlocked. Go on in.
And they're okay with that.
Well, we've had a few people argue, but you don't argue. You're very polite. Yes, ma'am. No, ma'am. And out the door you go. The whole time you're backing towards the door.
How'd you get in the door?
Well, they make this little tool. It's an electric lock pick. You can buy it on the internet for $19.95.
Wow.
And you just stick that in like it's a key and it picks the lock.
It's got different attachments to it. And you look at the lock, it's got the name of the lock on it. You look at the attachment, put the right attachment on it. Well, if it took more than 3 seconds, it was a very good lock.
Wow.
Now, what is a very good lock?
Well, the Shylocks are very good. I would stay away from any of the Walmart, Home Depot type locks. Because most of those only have 2 prongs. Shylock is probably one of the best. Because the tumblers on them are uneven, and it's very hard to pick.
I'm standing here absolutely numb. I didn't realize. I knew it was bad. I had no idea.
If you saw a Shylock name on a lock, would you not try to get in it?
Well, you would still try, but biggest part of the time, it depended on the neighborhood and who was around. If there's people looking,
so
you want to make it look like you're walking up there, sticking the key in the lock and going in.
Wow.
So there's nothing that we can really do to keep you out.
What about deadbolts?
Deadbolts just take a little longer to open. 90% of the people that put deadbolts on their door don't deadbolt.
I hope you find this as fascinating as we did at the time. He's not done. part 2 of our random encounter with Knuckles the burglar, coming up after the break.
So if you can't get in a door, what do? You go through the window?
Well, windows is kind of amateurish. I mean, kids do windows.
He says, I am Spider-Man.
A good professional thief is not
goes down
going
the
to play with a
chimney.
window.
I'm going to play with
Are,
window.
are there any homes in a particular structure of the subdivision that you would stay away from, like maybe those in a cul-de-sac or something like that?
Cul-de-sacs are bad, and brick houses, for some, you can't force the door in a brick house hardly.
It's the first bit of good news I got. I got a brick house.
Because the way the doors are molded, like on a frame house, you can hit them real good at your shoulder and break it right open.
See, here's another
And
reason to get to know your
a lot of
neighbors.
the neighborhoods that were built around O'Fallon, Illinois, in that area,
Yeah.
I would get in them with a razor knife.
What if I just did this? What if I just took a bucket of shell casings and threw it out on my front lawn? It just made it look like, for some reason, or if like if you looked through the window
I
of a
think shell cases, I'd want your guns. Guns are easy to sell.
Just bring them in like a magnet, JC.
Wow.
So you're telling me, you're honest to God telling me, there's nothing I can do that will, the best I can do is maybe slow you down.
That's about the best you can do is slow me down.
Or just be home.
Or be home.
Or no, your neighbors who are home. I mean, it
If you
sounds
got
to me.
neighbors that are home, retired people are a pain.
My dad is a perfect deterrent to crime.
except
a nosy retired man.
Except about 3 o'clock. Except about 3 o'clock when you get that senior citizen
Jeopardy's
discount at Old Country Buffet.
So if you got an old person living in your home, you think you should get a deduction from your insurance company?
They're better than the pit
They're
bulls.
a real pain. We did a house. We had all these people's paintings and everything loaded in the back of the van. And this old guy was standing there talking, and we couldn't get away from him. He talked to us for 45 minutes, and we had over $100,000 worth of merchandise in the van.
Oh, my God.
But you know what was the amazing part about it? When it come out that the place was robbed, he never mentioned us.
All right, now,
Don't you feel bad, like looking back, and I don't want to sound like your mom, but don't you like ever stop and wonder, well, that's a shame that I took that really nice such and such from that person? Like, don't you
the
ever
people
feel
that we hit could afford it. They had insurance.
Well, what if they
insurance.
couldn't afford it though? What if you went to a home and it was middle class and they didn't have a lot of money? They're just kind of, doing their thing, living.
Well, you don't want. Why would you rob a place like that?
Well, that's
Because
what you
there's
said,
Nothing
that-
there worth taking.
I love this
middle
guy.
class. We're talking, anywhere from a $50,000 to $80,000.
I mean, have you ever looked back on something and said, "I wish I didn't do that"?
Well, that's one of the reasons I quit doing it. The guy where it's hard to sleep at night.
And how do you sleep now?
I sleep like a baby now because I'm a legitimate thief
Because
now.
you're earning your keep.
Let me go back to one thing. You got $100,000 worth of stolen stuff in the van you're trying to get away. Has it ever happened where you're like loaded up or in the process of doing a job and the people come home?
Oh, yeah.
And what do you do then?
You take off like a bat out of hell.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then you don't go back to that neighborhood for 7-8 months a year or so.
7-8
Wow.
months.
So what the things that we have done, some of the things we mentioned here today, will deter the amateur, the idiot who's just walking
Well,
down the
that's
street.
the one you're wanting to stop anyway because they do 90% of the burglaries.
Really?
Yeah, you can't be
90% of the
everywhere.
burglaries are done by your neighbor's kid.
Well, we're out of time. I'm glad that you called. This is better than any guest we've ever booked
really.
in the history of the show.
Yeah.
I don't care what you do, guy. I just was sitting here going on the way to work and heard you talking all this stuff.
On your way to work. Right now, there's a guy on his way to work, too, which is your house today.
How old are you now?
I'm in my 50s.
Okay.
Well, thanks for all the info.
Like JC just said.
Yeah, how do you keep somebody out of your house?
You go to work today and you come home at 5 o'clock and your place is wiped out.
I keep good insurance.
That's the best you can do is just get
That's
insurance.
the best you can do is keep good insurance.
Wow.
Did you
And,
know who did it though? That was Johnny.
But I was real careful about my house is open. You can see into it. There's no bushes up around the windows or doors.
Oh, so you mentioned that earlier. You didn't like houses that you could see into, and why? Just why was that?
Well, because again, the nosy neighbors.
Oh, okay. So you see somebody moving around in
If
your
they see
house.
the plumber
People
taking the
moving around
TV
and they know
around.
there's nobody supposed to be there.
I see the plumber taking the TV.
How about daylight versus night? You would not try any of this at night at all?
Oh, no, don't do nighttime burglaries because that's like get you killed.
Because people are home,
People are home. and then
jumping,
you got
they hear noises and stuff like that.
Yeah, you got Joe the neighbor wanting to be a hero, and nighttime burglaries just aren't cool because, well, the time that you'll get over it is so much heavier.
Have you ever been shot at?
My fence did once.
Your what?
Your fence, his fence. Guy you'd sell the stuff to. Yeah, who would you sell
he
it?
thought I ripped him off on some stones. But
So your fence tried to shoot you.
Oh, man.
Well, we kissed and made up because I made him a lot of money and he gave me a lot of money.
Unbelievable. Wow. All right, we're gonna refer to you as Knuckles.
Okay.
So if we're ever on the air and you hear, hey, you know what? That's a good question. Or if Knuckles is out there, we'll put out the call. Then
Call in, Knuckles.
We're talking to you.
All right.
All right?
All right.
Thanks, Knuckles.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Wow. I'm never leaving.
And that reaction from Jen Sparks right at the end there, that really summed it up for everybody. We all were just looking at each other like, what just happened? We got a call from the Creve Court Police Department, too. They wanted the tape. And, I was like, that's not my business. That's the radio station's call. You take it up with them. And I never found out whether they did anything. But it sure doesn't leave you with much hope, does it? So walk into your living room right now and just look at all those presents under the tree. And you're like, I'm going to put them in the car. I got a better chance of driving around with them and not having them stolen.
The J.C. Corcoran Podcast.